He is voting no on the cap and trade bill. That is a relief. And again, it is unconstitutional, by the way, not even the, nothing in the Section 2 of Congress has the environment in it, but that's a side note. All right, that one was easy enough. HR 2749, I don't know if you're familiar with this one. This is the Food Safety and Enhancement Act. It gives the FDA broader powers. Are either of you familiar with that one?
Could you remind me who there's so many of these, I forget which actual bill is whose. Do you remember who introduced that one?
I don't, and I didn't write it down. I was so concerned about making sure I got my numbers right.
Maybe what's easier is I handle some of our food safety stuff, so I'm generally familiar. I've had a number of meetings, and I know that there's bills out there, but maybe what's easier is if you let me know what specific concerns are, and maybe I can address those as opposed to, I certainly don't know every aspect of the bill you mentioned, but I may know some of the...
Basically that it gives the FDA even broader powers, what it has. Now they're saying it will not hit like home gardens, and that's stretching it, but the problem is with a lot of these bills, the wording is so vague, and it can, if they really want to. If it's not FDA approved, it's going to create problems. So what's really going to get hit is probably stands on the fruit stands, especially here in Indiana.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with that one?
And you know, the senators received a lot of information about this. I personally have a vested interest in this. My family farms in Randolph County, just a few counties south of you. And I can tell you my father doesn't want FDA officials on his farm, inspecting what he's doing, let alone other government officials. But you hit the nail on the head. The concern is, you know, we all recognize that the U.S. food safety system is the safest, if not one of the safest in the world. Yet, you know, there's always things you can do to hopefully improve that. Small kids, I don't particularly enjoy the thought of them being made sick by peanut butter from a few bad acts out there. But to what, you know, does the government get involved? And so, you know, the concern's been raised that there's registration requirements are potentially tied with financial requirements where you'd have to pay to register. We've heard from a number of the same farmers you've been talking about, that, you know, are small garden patches that sell their food at the food stand. So I can't say that he has taken a position on the bill. I know that those same privacy concerns concern him. You know, he's a small businessman, a farmer as well. That's kind of the lens he looks at all this through. That, you know, we don't want the government down meddling in everybody's business, but there certainly needs to be some type of ability to trade back should there be, you know, national food emergency.
Okay, so I'm going to put no official statement. Maybe we can come back to that one. I don't think it's in the media, so that's probably why it's not a big deal. The healthcare one seems to be.
Yeah, that's right. That being said, I've had a few meetings with Maury's met with a number of different groups, and they've asked him to co-sponsor it. He hasn't. He is in the fact-finding mission, so he's aware of it. He just wants all the facts that he can and concerns. We're certainly hearing people on all sides of this, so it's on his radar screen. He's not committed to it. You know, certainly if there's a food safety bill that moves forward, we'll be engaged on it. He just wants us to continue to gather information, so this is quite pertinent help.
I did say if he wants groups to respond, I obviously can't speak for all my group, but I would say 99% of us are completely against this bill, because here in Indiana, fruit stands, I mean, they're all over the place, and we believe that the free market, you know, if I buy it from the guy and it's bad, we think we'll tell our neighbors and we'll make sure he goes out of business. We do believe in the free market. So, if he's listening to the other side, here's a group that's completely against it.
Okay, well, and certainly, please stay in contact with us. You know, this is another one where I don't know that it's going to come up this year, but certainly, well, you know, everybody's input as things. I don't expect the bill as written to move forward. You never know in which way it will morph. So. Yeah,
I keep my eye on them to see if they're out of committee and where they're at. Okay, I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to turn over. There were two. They kind of go into, they go hand in hand. One is called the Matthew Shepard Hate Crimes Prevention Act. Now, it passed through the House, and I don't think it passed through the Senate. Are you familiar with that one, S909?
I am familiar with it in the sense that I've read a bit about it, and I've seen things in the news. I'm not familiar with it enough about it to really relay any of the senator's thoughts. So it's when we get back in touch with you or somehow other liaison.
Okay, and the S1584, it's the Employment Non-Discrimination Act of 2009. It kind of goes with it because it's the same concern. Basically, it's it's making us be put into groups. I know people are always trying to protect groups, but sometimes what's really ironic about the S909 is the only unprotected group are white men, which is kind of ironic. So I guess they're the only groups that we have to protect ourselves from. So I think it's kind of ironic that we do it, but we're against those. But yeah, if you could get me more information, because I think the Employment Non-Discrimination Act of 2009 is coming up, and that one is forcing, like, you know, I'm not a very religious person, so I would not expect a church to hire me, but I could sue them if they don't, and I am not a religious person and think that's completely ridiculous. I shouldn't be in a church if I shouldn't work for that church if I can't follow, you know, what I'm supposed to do in my job, and things like that they can just get out of hand. And we know frivolous lawsuits come up because of these bills, so we need to be very, very careful with the wording, and we're not anymore, and that's my concern.
And Melissa, before we hang up, let's just make sure that we get your contact info so we can get you in touch with those folks.
Okay. Well, that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to Christine Schrock, who's going to talk about the Clean Water Restoration Act, S787.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so that was a great introduction. Thank you. Yeah, so I basically